Hello and welcome to episode 5 of One Shot. Now, without saying much, what I want to say is last week when we published our episode on YouTube sort of did an autocorrect on one of the words. It wasn't one, it was shot. I'm not going to say what it corrected it to, but our episode appeared as that for a very brief period of time. Sharp eyes might have caught that, but apologies for that. This time around, we'll make sure that we do not have autocorrect enabled on posting these things. How's it going, guys? How's everybody doing today?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, not too
Nice,
bad.
Yeah.
awesome, good. So let's start with MEFCC or Comic Con that was held in Abu Dhabi this last weekend. Sam, Muffy, and myself were there at the show, and look, I mean, I thought it was a when I went in there first, I wasn't too impressed, but by the time we were there and by the time we left, it became a much better show. I think one of the things that I personally felt was when we went in, it just felt like literally store after store after store after store selling you exactly the same things that you find everywhere else, whether those are posters or Funko Pops or little cards and stuff like that. That was my initial impression when I entered the show. Sam and Muff, how did you
Right.
guys feel about it?
Go for it, Muff.
Yeah, I mean, well, Comic Con usually was when it started. It was about big stages, lots of big things. Like they had big stands, but now it's becoming more like shops. You go there and buy. But I think Comic Con is made by the community that shows up.
Right.
Cosplayers, fans, nerds, they all be there, and that makes the show. And same like you, Abbas. Like when I first came in, I was like, "Wow, this is kind of small." When compared to when it started, or 1 to 3 years later, it's just one hall now. But then later on, I saw the cosplayers, pe- people having fun at the booths, and I was like, yeah, it seems like it's worth the price, and yeah, it's fine. It was a good show for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sam, what were your thoughts on it?
I think I'm somewhat in a similar boat to you guys initially that when I went there, it was a case of like, oh, it's just a case of you've got a couple of stands from an experience standpoint. I forgot who the comic guys were. They were giving out free comics. That was really cool, really, nice stuff. But there didn't seem to be that much, and it was more kind of the visiting artist alleys and buying similar sort of things. But saying that, when I sat down for one of the panels, it was interesting because you had like a guy sat next to me who was obviously English, like a super fan. He got chit chatting to the lady next to him, and you could really sort of encompass what the event is about in that community element. People that never met before that have the opportunity to meet each other, that like-minded, have similar interests, and get to talk about those things. Just like the guy sat on my left, he came from Qatar. American guy, came from Qatar. He was chit-chatting to some Emirati girls, next to him, about this show and that show and going here and going there, and it kind of gave that community vibe. So I think it's definitely shifted from that experience standpoint that maybe we're more used to kind of like what Murphy said. It's more the community aspect of it, and maybe we're a bit spoiled, right? We get to see all these shows around the world and go like, oh, it's way bigger, and but you got to go with what's available at hand. I mean, and even older folks that have never. I know someone that visited and they'd never been to something like it before, and they were like, "It's so cool to see Emiratis, then people dressed in cosplay, someone praying, or like just all that diversity of
Nice.
a melting pot. Really, really cool in that regard. So I think it was good overall.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think once everybody started coming to the show, once the crowd kind of picked up, the cosplay, really nice costumes, really nice vibe. Everybody was super friendly, chit chatty with
Mm.
everyone. You saw that community aspect of it, and I enjoyed the celebrities they brought this time around as well. Sophia Di Marco, I think she played Loki, and then there was a guy who played Boba Fett, and sorry, what's the Oscar Isaac was there as well. So they had some big names on there. So definitely good ones. The panels were nice as well. They were informative. They were fun. They were nice. Yeah, it turned out a good show. The only thing my only suggestion to them is the main stage should be a little bit more main. It was like hidden completely behind. Nobody knew where the main stage was. It was just like
Right.
all the way on the back, on the corner, the entrance to it. Nobody had
The
a clue
stage
whatsoever.
itself, though, was fine. Like, it made
It was
Yeah.
sense
fine.
as to why it was there, but more
Exactly.
signage to make people aware
Yeah,
of it.
so they shouldn't call it the main stage. It's not the main stage. It's a
Panel
stage for the
stage or something.
panels. You Just
Yeah.
just just call it, yeah, panels or
The
panel
stage.
stage or whatever. Just don't call it main stage. Like, why even call that?
Absolutely.
But saying
I don't
that,
get it.
crowd-wise, like when we were there on the first day compared to when I went back on the second day, it was totally different. Like there was at least 200 people queued up for that the
Wow.
main panel going on, and there was full on as you went around the corner through the door, that was packed. So
Nice.
you also have that to kind of make sense.
Fair enough. Yeah. I think they anticipated really long lines because the space outside the main hall was massive. It could hold more people than I think the main stage could. So, who knows? Who knows how it is? But overall, a pretty decent event. I think good job on the organizers. Went well. I don't think there were any major delays or major hiccups or anything. Went quite
That's
smoothly.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool. All right, then moving on to some of the new products announced this week. Amazon's Echo Show 5 and Echo Show 8. These are the screen-based Alexa devices, smart home devices. So we're getting the new versions of them in the UAE and Saudi Arabia. Those were launched this week. Let me start the discussion by asking which digital assistant does either one of you use? Let's start with Danish. Do you use one? And if you do, which one?
As of now, for the few things I do, it's Siri.
Siri. Okay.
Yeah.
Mufid,
Yeah.
how about yourself?
Me? Did you say me?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't use it. Most of the stuff, like I use my iPhone's Siri to start timers, but that's about it. I don't use these kind of things. I just do it manually because Siri, for one, is crap, right? It's absolute crap, completely useless. You can't do anything with it. So I just use it for like timers. Hey Siri, start a timer. Oh, don't start it. But that's it. That's all it can do. So I'm like,
There's one
thanks.
more thing it can do really well is when I'm playing games with my daughter, I just say roll the dice and it does a good job with that. So
For me, for me, that's flip a coin.
flip a
Oh,
coin.
yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, okay.
And what about yourself? Do you use any?
I do. I use the HomePod. I've got some smart lights, and I do have a Nest thermostat as well. Unfortunately, that doesn't work with the HomePod, but
Yes.
yeah. I use a few things here and there.
All right, fair enough. So, I mean, for myself, I think we use mostly Alexa at home for devices. And I think one of the reasons for that is that we also have all these ring cameras, doorbells, all of that stuff.
Right.
So all of that sort of integrates really nicely together, with each other. And Alexa is fine. I don't think it is any better or worse than Google Assistant. It's definitely better than Siri. I'll give you guys, that 100%. But compared to Google Assistant, it's pretty much on the same level and works fine. I think it works okay. The new devices that were launched. So you have the Echo Show 5, which goes on for 370 dirhams, and the Echo Show 8, which goes on for 600 dirhams. Echo Show 8 has been completely redesigned this time around. Both of them have improved audio, so better speakers and all of that. And then they support Matter as well. So that's the
Oh,
new
nice.
smart home standard. That's sort of going to be coming into play. That's what we're going to be seeing with these new devices. They're available in the UAE and Saudi Arabia right now. So if you're looking to upgrade, feel free to head out to Amazon and grab one of those.
Awesome.
All right. I think most of the other gadgets will probably be in the next week or two when MWC kicks
Yeah.
in. So there isn't a whole lot. So we're waiting for that to see, what kind of goes on that. So let's shift focus to movies. A couple of big releases this time around. There is Madam Web opening, which is sort of based in Spider-Verse, and it's got Dakota Johnson in it. I'll watch anything with her, honestly speaking, on the screen. But have you guys? Are you guys looking forward to any of those movies? Well, we can go through the list, but let me just pull up what. Fun fact: I didn't know that she was a daughter of Don Johnson and Melanie Griffith. I had no clue.
No
She was
way.
on.
You know,
Oh wow.
Yeah, Saturday Night Live, and she was saying, "Yeah, I've been on front of the camera since I was a kid," and they kind of just zoomed in into her with her parents, which Don Johnson and Melanie Griffith. So yeah,
that's
she's their
very
daughter.
cool.
So yeah, didn't know that. Never really knew that. But yeah, we've got Madam Web launching this week. We have the new look on Apple TV. We've got Love Is Blind season 6 and Players on Netflix, I believe. So these are some of the new releases. Interested in any one of
I,
them or no?
I didn't. I don't even know what the last three things you said were.
I watched the
And
I watched the trailer for Madam Web, and I thought
yeah,
it looked pretty good. Like it
Yeah,
looked like entertaining. But then I got some feed saying, "Oh, the early reviews, blah blah." I
uh,
stopped caring about like that. Honestly, just
yeah,
like go watch the movie,
Marvel.
form your own opinion.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
okay. I thought you were going to say that. I was going to say Marvel is just done for me.
Oh, oh.
I'm barely consuming any Marvel content. Just every time you go in with the hope that it'll be better, it's just worse and worse. I
well,
haven't watched Marvel content in a few months now.
well. This is not Marvel. Marvel. This is Sony and Spider Verse, their own
Exactly.
thing.
That's my
But
point.
but Sony can't make superhero movies. I have no
Wow.
hopes. I have
Burn.
no
Yeah.
hopes. I have zero hopes with
okay.
Madam Web,
Look,
and the
Spider-Man was
reviews are just absolutely terrible.
most Spider-Man was pretty cool. Like all three of them, like all three
Yeah,
reboots, and all three of them were pretty awesome.
sure, they were made with Marvel, right?
Not
But
all of
when
them,
you
right?
take
Not
Venom,
all.
no, no, they are part of the MCU, right? But when Venom came out, that was
Yeah.
not part of it. That was just Sony doing their
Right.
own thing.
I
And
see where you're going.
Venom, yeah, sucked. Then Venom 2 kind of it still sucked. And this Madam Web is part of the Spider Verse that they are doing, which is not part of MCU. It could be part of MCU, I don't know, but the reviews are saying that
Listen, it's
it's
very
not.
simple. It's very simple. If it's a movie where they forced everyone to use Sony phones, it's
Yeah,
shit.
yeah,
All right?
yeah.
It's as simple as that. The second you see them using Sony phones, you know the whole movie is shit. Just walk out of the theater.
So harsh, guys.
Fair enough.
Jeez.
I'll still go see it. I'll still go see it.
Yeah.
All right. Sam, you checked out the new Pulse Tower.
Yes.
I've seen some videos of it on YouTube, and that's one car that makes me wonder if I was to replace my Model Y, that would probably be the one that would be it. So tell us a
Oh
little
yeah.
bit about that.
Okay. I think, like I say, going off that, I mean, Polestar as a brand, they're really pushing that whole environmentally friendly, trying to be what's the whole, tracking the materials and how it's been
Yeah.
used and this whole zero emission thing. Like from the presentation and everything they showed, like their due diligence at every possible step along the way. Like I got to give credit where it's due. Like holy cow, really good in that standpoint. Car looks nice. Overall, just a bit of stats on it. You're talking like 500 horsepower, 900 newton meters of torque. It's got a 111 kilowatt hour battery, 610 kilometers of range, and it starts from like 360,000 dirhams.
It's
So
pricey,
it's
huh?
And
It's definitely
yeah,
pricey.
pricey.
Sam. Sorry, Sam. Can you tell me what kind of a car is it? I've not even seen it. What kind of a car is it? Is it a four-wheeler kind of
It's
size,
like a
crossover size,
compact SUV ish. It's
four-seater,
I think
five-seater?
five-seater.
Model Y,
Okay.
right? It's
Yeah, it's
just
about the
pretty much
size
a
of a
Model Y
Model
compared to.
Model Y, a little bit chunkier
Okay.
aesthetics wise. But yeah, looks really nice. And I mean, we had the Polestar 2 before. It also, it's
I
more
loved it.
car-like. Really nice.
I love the in general, Polestar as a brand. If I were to switch to EV, I think Polestar would be the brand. I think so. I think I'd accept the small sacrifices, such as not having access to Tesla supercharging and stuff like that. I think Polestar In all the EVs I've driven till now, and I've driven a decent few, I have not liked a car as much as I've liked the Polestar.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
There's one more thing that it lacks, which is an actual window on the back. There is no glass on the back. So basically, you have a camera feed that is showing you what's
Yeah.
there on the rearview mirror, but there's actually no glass. It's weird, yeah? I don't know. I mean, maybe that's going to be part of all cars in the future. I really can't say. But how do you guys feel about that, not having that?
I didn't really notice it, to be honest.
And
Okay, interesting.
No,
I've used
Polestar
it
3,
before.
Abbas. Polestar 3. I think you're confused with a different model.
Sorry, which one did you?
3. Maybe you're
We saw the
thinking-
Polestar 3. Are you talking about the Polestar 4, Abbas?
You're on about
Which one
the
is the one
4.
which is the
No
SUV
glass
ish?
is the 4. Is the 4.
Wait, so this is another SUV that they have.
It's like
Okay. I'll clear up your confusion, Abbas. 4 is what's been announced globally. It's like kind of doing the global rounds of the news. 3 was announced much earlier, and we are very late in the local release cycle. Thus the confusion, because this is exactly what happened with 2 and 3 as well. When 2 came out for us and it was all over our local news, it was globally 3 was in already out and being pushed. So I think that's where your confusion is, because I'm pretty sure the 3 has a rear view mirror.
the
Both
3
of those
has
are SUVs, or like,
yeah,
how
the
would you
3
define
is like a more compact SUV, and the 4 is a bigger SUV.
Bigger
I
SUV.
wouldn't say huge.
Got
Sort
it.
of. 3
The
is
the
more
4 is an electric SUV coupe, whereas the 4 looks very much just like a crossover. Sorry, the 3 looks just like a crossover.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, interesting.
your
Okay, so yeah, I guess I had those confused.
40 something, you know? It's that smaller segment.
Yes, and you are right, Abbas. I'm looking at it right now. It's the 4 that doesn't have the rear view mirror. It just has a white back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, so well, fine. Maybe it's not part of Polestar 3, but maybe a direction that EVs are going to take in the future. How are you guys? What do you guys feel about that?
Okay, so I'll take this one. So 2 cars ago, so that would be my Nissan Altima. Someone had installed one of those cameras that where you flip because I bought it secondhand, and I had those cameras in the back where you're looking at the camera in your rear view mirror instead of the mirror itself. When I used that, the only thing that was really irritating was sort of nighttime, because then you're talking about cameras and glare and the way the camera processes that image and so on. In the daytime, it wasn't that bad. It was all right. It was manageable. Frankly, it was a wider field of view. So I just think it's going to come down to exactly that, right? Because you're asking a camera to show you the real world in the most real way possible. So it has to be well processed imagery that comes off. Because, for example, a lot of Cybertruck users aren't massively complaining about this because the camera is so good. So I think that's what it's kind of going to come down to, on how well the brands execute and how they process that imagery. That's where the conversation will come down, but it will become more common for sure.
I don't have an issue if it is a rear view mirror. My issue is when we had the Audi
Qtron. Yeah,
Qtron,
Qtron. That had
whatever
the
it
same.
was,
Yep.
with the side view mirrors. I don't want side mirrors as a screen. I want
Right.
OG normal screen. Rear view, who cares?
Agreed.
It doesn't matter. But side, I want it regular. That's my 2 cents.
The other thing is that it obviously stops light from coming in from the back. I mean, obviously when you've got glass, you have light coming in.
Right.
Here, you're going to have a slightly darker back seat because there will be no light coming from behind the car into the car. So I just wonder how that's going to feel.
But then you have the entire roof.
Yeah,
Polestars have glass roofs.
Glass.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair
Right?
enough. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
fair.
think that compensation definitely takes place. Listen, this is going to be one of those things where for a while the question is going to be subjective to people. Now, when I drove the e-tron, I didn't see. I frankly preferred the screen for the mirror because my turn was much lesser. My head was tilting at a much lesser degree than I had to for a mirror outside my window. So I personally preferred that. But I think that's what it's going to be. I think it's going to start becoming a thing of if someone's forced to have that feature, they might actually not choose the car. Whereas if they have the option, it might just be okay. So I think that's where it's going to come down to sort of if you leave it subjective to people, it'll be okay. So if you leave it as a choice, it'll be okay. But at the end of the day, it's going to be subjective to each person.
Fair. I can see the advantages for it because, look, I mean, when you've got like three people sitting in the back seat and they're blocking your mirror on the back, versus this offering you a fantastic view of the back, uninterrupted and all of that, and obviously a wider view with the camera tech and stuff like that. I can totally see the advantages to it, but I think switching between that screen and the real world in a very on and off basis is something that threw me off a little bit. On some, I think it was a Cadillac, the first one that I had used, where that rear view was a screen, but then the side view were just regular mirrors. So sort of like just looking between those two kind of threw me off. So
So
I
you
don't
want
know.
like
Yeah,
all of them to be screen or all of them not to be screen?
absolutely yes,
Interesting.
absolutely yes. I would sort
Very
of go with
interesting.
that. I would go
Yeah, I
with
see
that,
that
yeah.
as a point. Move, you?
Well, I don't know, to be honest, because as long as the rear, so if the car's back glass is not a glass, you can't see it. That means you have the screen, right, to show the back. As long as that ca- camera shows on the screen and not on the rear view thing, then I should be fine with it.
Oh no, there's no
Oh,
screen.
So just
It's just the
cancel the
rear
rear
view.
view mirror.
So it's gone, right? So it just shows
yeah.
on the
It
screen.
just
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not on the screen of the car, not on the dash. It's the same placement
As the
yeah.
rear view mirror.
as the rearview mirror, but it's a screen which is showing you a digital video.
No, I don't want that then.
Fair.
Because because my brother bought a Mazda 6, the
Okay.
longer version, and instead of because and his car doesn't have a screen, right, but it has a back camera, so it shows the back camera on the rear view
Right.
mirror, and it's so small. The field of view is so small, and there's so much glare when you are like in the daylight. It felt so pointless. Like I'm squinting and taking reverse. I'm like, I don't want that experience.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
No, this is definitely a considerably better quality than that. I think
Yeah.
Abbas tried it
it
on
should
the XT5 or something it was.
I think so. I
Basically,
think
your
that's
auto dimming, you have the tab bit that you flip down, right?
Yeah.
If someone's
correct.
driving behind you with their high beams, you
Correct.
flip it to make it darker.
Yes.
That would allow you to switch between mirror or a screen. I've seen it also with the Nissan Patrol as well. You can
you
have
know,
the screen.
I just want to add that I would want a rear like a normal back glass and a rear view thing, because sometimes in traffic when you're braking hard, right, you have braked hard and you want to see behind if the car is like about to smash into you or not, so you can move. That's the kind of information I would like to have all the time, because if he's going to smash, then I can just turn around the
So
car.
I think what's going to happen here is all of our age is also showing a bit because
Yeah,
we were taught driving in a very different time and a very different style.
yeah,
Now, for example, let's just take this as a hypothetical, right? When in around the time that most of us learned driving, if you had a Nissan Sunny, all right, you knew like your reflexes were all manual, right? But back in the day, if you bought an expensive car, a Mercedes or whatever, you had sensors, you had cameras, and so on and so forth. Today, a Nissan Sunny, leave it Nissan Sunny. I know this for a fact. The Nissan Yaris has
Toyota
accident warning. It has the sensors. It has the cameras. It has lane departure warning. What I'm trying to say is, I think that as the world moves into a more automated drive, these sort of necessities that we have will slowly die away because the car itself will be managing so much for you.
yeah. as long as it can brake automatically,
Yeah.
and yeah, that should be fine. Because Dubai drivers, oh, terrible.
No man, Sharjah drivers, muff.
Yeah.
Sharjah drivers.
I wouldn't know because I don't go much into Sharjah, even though I live there.
You just live there.
I
You just
literally
teleport. It's like, "Loo, loo, 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 loo. I'm in Dubai.
precisely that, precisely that, because Sharjah has like 2 lane roads everywhere, and so feels so cramped. I can't do it.
Listen,
So I
man,
don't
someone,
venture
I'll
into
tell you
that part
something. I'll tell
anymore.
you something. Someone in Germany one day will listen to this podcast and be like, what are you talking about? Our highways are 2 lanes. What are you guys on about? They don't understand the plight that is driving on the roads of the UAE.
Ah, man.
But fair.
Hilarious. I
Cool.
think one of the things that I kind of thought of when Murphy was talking about this was, look, if it's a screen, then it could actually alert you, right? I mean, suddenly flash red or whatever else if a car is approaching too far behind you too quickly. So a rear view mirror wouldn't give you that, but if it's a screen on there and gives you a little bit of advanced warning, then hey, that's something that could potentially be used. So yeah, I mean, I think there
Yeah.
are multiple uses for it, some phenomenal uses for it. Potentially, just we need to sort of wait it out and get used to it. Sort of just sticking on the car news, one little quick thing I wanted to point out was the latest update to Tesla app. What they've done is they are now allowing the iPhone's ultra wide band to be used when unlocking the car, or coming to the car and unlocking it.
Oh, that's
So instead of
cool.
Oh,
use the
nice.
UWB on it, and that is much more
Ah, that's
secure,
awesome.
quick, faster, and yeah, absolutely. So I think that's a pretty good addition. It's not on my car. My car is 2023. It doesn't have it on there, but the
Okay.
2024 onwards have this functionality built in on them. So yeah, I
That's
think it's
cool.
a good. It's a
I wonder if that means that you'd be able to share keys with people who have iPhones. Like
you
suppose
can do that
suppose
right now.
I'm no, I mean, suppose I'm driving your car and for a few days,
Yep,
then you could just share the key with me and I could use it on my iPhone, right?
do that right now as well. I could do that
Oh,
completely
fair
right now.
enough.
So I can add you as a guest on my Tesla app, and then I can issue you a key automatically from on your app. So the next time you're there, you literally just come in, and then I can revoke it when.
Oh,
So yeah, that's already there. It's just that
that's pretty
there
cool.
have been times, yeah, when I have approached the car and it doesn't unlock, and I have to go and reopen the Tesla app on the phone, on the iPhone to sort of, get it to sort
Right.
of like, hey, I'm in range right next to it, so just unlock the car for me. So I think that will solve a lot of those
Fair.
issues.
Okay.
Awesome.
Very cool.
And I think the last bit that we kind of want to discuss is, Muff, there are rumors that Microsoft might not be doing any exclusives for its consoles anymore, or anything that it has released in the last few years as exclusive titles might be coming on to PlayStation 5 or Nintendo devices and stuff like that. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, where to begin? There's so much to talk here. But first, the rumor started that this Microsoft's smaller games like Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves, they will be released for the PS5 and the Switch, which makes sense because they are smaller games. They are made for everybody, and it makes sense to be on the Switch, on the PS5 to get more users playing the game. Then suddenly, rumors started out that Microsoft's big exclusive, Starfield, that's going to come out on the PS5, and there's also a rumor that Halo might come out on the PS5. Now,
No way.
Halo is Xbox's golden child, right? That they made the brand on Master Chief's shoulders. So to put that out and make it multi-platform, I think everyone just lost their shot, you know.
Well done, Murphy.
And
Nicely done. Nicely done. Nicely done.
yeah, everyone lost their marbles with Halo coming out for the PS5. Like that doesn't make sense. That's like saying The Last of Us is going to release on the Xbox, or Uncharted is going to release on the Xbox. So that's the rumors going around that Microsoft. Ultimately, the rumor is that Microsoft may go multi-platform for all of their games, and they might quit out of the console
Oh wow.
business, but maybe not for the next generation, but maybe after that, once they have. And I think in my opinion, I think Microsoft should do that. They have lost the war with Sony. They cannot sell more consoles than Sony. There's no way they can turn this around. So now they have these studios under them that makes these top quality games. They can go multi-platform. They can make more money, and they can push Game Pass on all screens there is, like from your TVs, from your phones, PS5, Switch, with the cloud. Just push it across and become a big third party studio, because consoles is they're just not making any money on it. And I think that's where Microsoft is going towards. I think that's what they're thinking, because now they need to make money. They have Activision, they cannot make that exclusive for the Xbox. They will lose a lot of money. And then Starfield release, and they release it on Game Pass, which where anyone can play for free. And Starfield didn't make a big splash, and Starfield was their biggest game of this generation. And if that didn't make a big splash and probably sold like 5 million or so, that many copies, and didn't increase the Game Pass base, then what are they doing? Like how can they make more money? And I
So,
think,
so let me ask this question. Do you think that consoles in general have a limited future? When I say limited, I'm not talking 2 or 3, I'm talking maybe 10 or something years. But do you think that consoles in general have a limited future, considering how powerful your smartphones and your laptops and do you think a dedicated console has a long-term future?
Sorry, before you answer that,
yes,
Danish's question,
yeah,
let me just further refine that. Uh, exactly where Danish is coming from, but do we want to sort of stream games in the future? My Apple TV box, for example, as long as it's just receiving an internet
Yeah.
connection and I've got my controller connected to it via Bluetooth, can I just play games on that? Do I really need all that hardware, or even something that a smartphone is capable of? Can I just have a dumb box that can literally stream very well? And could gaming be going down in that route as well?
I sincerely believe that cloud gaming is the future, because Sony and Microsoft are not making money on selling consoles, right? So if they can offset that cost by releasing a box where you can cloud stream your games, and as they refine that technology by uh, increasing the image quality, reducing the latency, and adding in more tech to make it as seamless as possible. I think that's where the future is. Now, recently I have been playing my PS5 games on a ta- tablet, right? Like I stream games from the PS5 to the tablet, and the experience is like flawless. So if they can get to that level where you just start the console and start and click on any game from the store, you buy it and you just instantly play. I think that's where the future is. And it's also a very worrying future, because then you will never own a game like a disc. But then it doesn't matter, because most of the stuff now we own is digital
Yeah.
only, right? So that's the only worry for me, that there will be no game preservation. But digital future is here, and can't do much about it.
What you said reminded me of, I think this happened when Game of Thrones was streaming, and on one of the shots, there was a Coke can or something that was left in the shot.
Yeah,
Uh,
Starbucks cup.
that,
Yeah,
Starbucks
exactly.
cup.
Starbucks cup, yeah, absolutely. And then literally the next week, it was gone from that shop because it's all digital. You're streaming, so you're never really
exactly. Yeah,
holding the data,
Yeah.
at your
yeah,
thing. So yeah, things
exactly.
can change anytime, anywhere, whatsoever, real quick.
Yeah.
So that does bring that question up as well. That's interesting. But one more question for you. You mentioned that Microsoft has kind of lost the war to PlayStation, but aren't console wars, don't they reset at every new console generation? Like, isn't there something that the next PS6 comes out and the next Xbox comes out? Aren't they leveling the play field and sort of starting again from start? Or
No,
no, you don't think that's
no, and I think Phil Spencer, the CEO of Xbox,
yeah.
said it much nicely that they lost the most important generation, which was the PS4. That's when people started to buy games online digitally,
Hmm.
and they completely lost that plot there with the Xbox One, and they focused on TV and this and that, and there were no games. And Sony came in with The Last of Us, Horizon, and God of War, and just completely blasted Xbox away. And that's when people made PlayStation their di- digital base and started to buy games for PSN. So when you
Hmm.
go to the next generation, you would want to bring your games with it, right? So you will buy the PS5, you'll buy the PS6, because all your games are on the PS5 or the PlayStation store. uh, sure, I mean, you can buy the Xbox, but then you have to rebuild your collection again over there. So it never resets. For Xbox, they always have to acquire new users and keep them to
Hmm.
build that momentum which they lost during the Xbox One.
So from that perspective, the Xbox One or Game Pass being available on all platforms, all consoles makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's why Microsoft is entirely focused on Game Pass. Like,
Mm.
here are like thousands of games for free, and you can play it anywhere. You don't need
Yeah.
our console. Don't buy our console. Just
Yeah.
pay us this thing and play anywhere. You can play on your PC, and they would love to release it on the PS5, but I don't think Sony will ever allow it. But if they
Mm.
can figure that out, I mean, khalas, then there's no need for Xbox. I think Microsoft will dip out of that thing entirely as well.
Yeah, fair enough. And look, at the end of the day, these will probably become apps on your TV or your streaming
Yeah,
boxes, kind of like you
yeah,
have
Yeah.
Netflix or OSN right now. You're literally
yeah.
just going to have the Xbox app, which you sort of tie in with your Game Pass, and then boom, all your games are directly played on that. In fact, I think Samsung's already doing that. Samsung already has the
Samsung has the
Xbox
Game
app,
Pass app.
the
Yeah,
Yeah,
exact Game Pass
they
app
do.
on their TV.
They've continuously been advertising it for 3 years now. That you have controllers specifically dedicated for it. You have the Game Pass, and it is a stellar gaming device.
Yeah,
yeah.
cool. Now, interesting times ahead for the gaming world for sure.
Definitely.
All right. I think with that, let's wrap it up for this week. Thanks to everyone for sort of staying with us. Please do leave us a comment if you're watching this on YouTube. Like it, thumbs up. If you want to see something different, let us know. We're all open to all suggestions. But hey, 5 episodes down, and I think a lot more to come. Until then, I think we're going to say our goodbyes. So, bye everyone. Bye from our boss. Guys, you want to say bye as well?
Yeah.
See
See
ya.
ya.